Yeah, guys, good morning. Good morning, guys. We'll start with the session. Just confirm once I'm audible. Can you able to hear me? Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, then we'll start. Okay. Let's go ahead. We'll discuss now. We'll continue with this example. Just a minute. I'm starting now. Right. Now let's move on. So in the session today, what I will explain is how to work with the criteria API. Actually, if we talk about if we talk about queries concept, when we started our query, we are aware that we can able to write the named queries annotations. What we discussed in the last session, one is @named query. Okay, this is one annotation we have seen, @named query, and there is one more annotation also we have discussed, and that is what @named native query. So these are the annotations we have discussed in the last class, correct? So for creating queries with Java methods also we can construct a query, and that is actually called as criteria API. So if you, for example, take a JPQL, what's happening in JPQL, you are able to write in JPQL, you are writing the query, no? You are writing a JPQL query, right? SQL query also you are writing. Means what? Basically, you are writing the query. You are writing the query, right? But now what I'm saying, you no need of writing the query. query will be automatically created. For creating that query, you can use methods. Means what? Using the methods also, query can be created. That is called criteria API. So basically, query creation is possible. Query creation is possible by manually writing the query by you. One is write JPQL query you can write, otherwise you can write SQL query. That's the one option. And the second option is with the help of methods in Java also you can able to prepare the query. Right. So what is the concept today we are discussing is, suppose if I want to write a query, or if I want to prepare a query, better word, I can use criteria API. Let's see how we can do that. That's what our today's point here. Okay. Right. See here. I'll give you. Just I will explain one of the examples so that you will understand it clearly. For example, if you look at my code, I'll tell you what is the meaning of this total code. It is a bit lengthy process, but query is automatically created. So basically, if at all you want to construct a query with a criteria, then there are some objects that we are going to discuss here. One is a criteria builder. We need a criteria builder object. We need a criteria query object. And we need a root object. So basically, we need three objects now. One is criteria builder. Next one is criteria query and root. Okay, right? These are the three objects required. If you look at the code here, we are not writing query. We are calling the methods. But with the help of these methods, what is going to happen? A query will be created automatically. So I'm not manually writing the query. So means what? We can also prepare a query in JPA with the help of Java methods. These are all methods only now. So first what I am creating? I am creating the criteria builder object I am creating. What I am creating here? Criteria builder object I am creating. I'll tell you what's the purpose of criteria builder. Okay, then next what I am creating? Criteria query object I am creating. My intention is I want to select only the name and salaries of the employee. What and what I want to select now? Name and salary. Only I want to select the name and salary. That's what my requirement. Okay. Name and salary I want to select of the employees. Means what? I don't want to select the complete record. What I want to do? Only the name and salaries of employees I want to select now. This is called selecting the partial record. It is not selecting complete record. It is what? Selecting the partial record. So what is my requirement? I want to select only the name and salaries of the employees. Okay, right. Let's see how we can do that. Okay, right. First, you have to create a criteria builder object. First, you have to create a criteria builder object. There is a criteria builder. So first we need to create a criteria builder object. Okay. Now, using criteria builder, create a criteria query object. What object do you create next? Criteria query object. First you create what? Criteria builder object. Then you create what? Criteria query object. Right? Criteria query object. After creating criteria query object, then you have to create a root object. Now let us see first of all. Criteria builder can be used for creating criteria query object. You can see I created criteria builder object name is what? CB. How can I create this criteria builder object? By calling a method called get criteria builder. There is a method available. I'm calling it. I have a method. I'm calling it, right? I have a method, I'm calling it. I'll explain one by one line so that you'll understand how can we use criteria for preparing the SQL query. First step, what we are doing, create a criteria builder object. How can I create criteria builder object? By calling the method called get criteria builder is a method which can be used for creating the criteria builder, right? So once a criteria builder object is created, next what? Create a criteria query object. This is a criteria query object now. My object name is Q. Okay, right? Criteria query object. While creating criteria query object, we need to pass the result class as a parameter, as a type parameter. I'm expecting what type of result? Object arrays. Why? Because I want to select only what and what name and salaries of the employees. Name and salaries of the employees will be stored in what arrays? Object arrays, right? First object array of 0, object array of 1, object array of 2, right? Object array of 0 contains what? Name of the employee. Object array of 1 contains what? Salary of the employee. Earlier we discussed about these two, right? Okay. So first what I am creating? Criteria builder object. Next what I am creating? Criteria query object. Then I am creating a root object. Root object represents what? What is the entity class to be used in the query? What is the entity class I want to use in query? Employee entity. Employee entity is a root. Create a root object which tells about what is the entity class of this query. So who is the entity class of this query? Employee. Employee is the root, right? Let's go ahead. I'll explain you now. Okay. Q dot from. Okay. Q dot from employee entity dot class. Means in from class, you know already when you're writing a select query, select star from, you're writing na. In from, what is the entity class I want to use? Employee entity. So create a criteria query object, set the from data, set the select data. What I want to select? Name and salary. So what is R here? Root. Root specifies what? What is the entity class to be used in the query? Of that entity, what you want to select? Name and salary. So R dot get of. What is R here? Root. R dot get of. What I want to get? EMP name property and salary property I want to get. Getting my point? Yes. Get of name, get of salary. Whose name and salary? Employee entity. So create a root object and specify what are the attributes you want. What and what I want? Name and salary into the array. So CB dot array. CB is what? Criteria builder. CB dot array of name comma salary. So select name and salary into an array. Then after once the criteria query is built, after setting the select information and from information, so then you can create the query object using entity manager. How can you create query object using entity manager? Create query is a method, right? And then how to execute that query object? By calling the method called get result list. Get result list. What it returns me? A list of object arrays. What each array contains? Each array in the list, each element is an object array. That object array contains what? Name and salary. Like this, we can also prepare the queries using criteria. Now this query is called criteria query. Previously what you know? Query, typed query, named query. Got it, right? What are the queries you know previously? Query, typed query, named query. You know the three, right? What is the other way? Criteria query. So how criteria query different from the previous types? Create criteria query constructs query based on Java methods. I'm not writing query here. I'm calling the methods. From is a method. Select is a method. Are you getting my point, right? Like this, we have the different methods in criteria query. So we are just going to call the methods, but we are not going to write any query manually. So whenever we execute this criteria query object, query is prepared automatically. This criteria query object will prepare a query automatically. But to that query, we have to set the data. How can set the data? By calling its methods. What are the methods? From is a method and select is a method. This is the way how we can able to create a query by using criteria. But this is a big approach, right? I mean, instead of writing a small query, we are writing so many objects and we are creating it. So it's a bit complex. But advantage is it will prepare tuned query. What type of query it will prepare now? Tuned query it will prepare. So we no need to apply any query tuning. Tuned query will get the data fastly from database, right? So whenever I call the methods and whenever I'm passing my information, what type of query will be prepared and executed by criteria? Tuned query. That's the only advantage. Even the code looks complex, but advantage of this part is what? Or the advantage of this concept? It will generate the tuned query and executes on database. Tuned query will get the data fastly from database, right? Tuned query will get the data fastly from database when compared with the normal query. So that is the advantage of working with the criteria API. But here little bit more objects are required. Let's open criteria query. I'll show you some of the other methods that what we have in the criteria query. Okay, let's have. Okay. Let's open criteria query. I'll show you some of the methods of it. Criteria query. So here we go with the criteria query. It is an interface from javax.persistence.criteria package. We have an interface called criteria query. And if you look at the methods here, group by is a method, having is a method, order by is a method, select is a method, where is a method, and okay, we can pass multiple restrictions with where. Select is a method, where is a method, order by is a method, having, group by, distinct. All these are what? Different methods. Different methods of what? Criteria query. And also the other methods which are came from abstract query. It's a super class. What's the method name? From. See, we also have used from now. Okay, create and add a query root corresponding to the given entity class. So who is the method I'm calling? From, right? And what this from method returns? Root object. It returns a root object. Okay, right? Root object. Right. It's a root type in the from class. So query roots always reference entities. And we don't have any much methods here, but we called one method called as get. What's the method we called? Get method we called now. So get is a method. We called get method. Okay, we have get method, we have join method, and join with various parameters. Okay, we have as method, in method, is not null method, is null method. So of course API contains so many methods, but we need to only just understand about what's the method that we need. Okay, I just called a method called as get of attribute name. Attribute name means variable name. So create a path corresponding to the reference attribute. Okay, r dot get I call na. What I'm passing? R dot get of employee name, r dot get of salary. Like that I can call in my code, right? Attribute name I'm passing there. I'm passing the attribute name here. Okay, right? You can see here. For example, they gave this is criteria query object. How can I create a criteria query object using criteria builder CB? Okay, create query. But here my criteria query is to select a partial record or a complete entity. complete entity. In my code it is partial object array, but here in the example given, complete entity, person entity from person dot class. This is going to give the root. Okay, and I want to apply some where condition. So how to apply where condition? Q dot select, then dot where, and I can pass the parameters. Okay, I can pass the parameters. Okay, so I mean basically what I can say, that there is a method called select, there is a method called where, there is a method called what, from. Like these methods are there. And what is the purpose of calling these methods like from, select, where, group by, order by, join, having? These are the methods used for preparing query. So query we are not writing, but we are calling the methods. Based on methods, what is created? Query is created. And what is the advantage of creating a query like that? It is going to be a tuned query. Tuned query means what? Which can retrieve the data fastly from the database. Okay, that's the only advantage of working with the criteria query. That's the advantage of creating with the criteria query, and otherwise no. Suppose my requirement is I want to select, okay, I want to select complete employee. For example, I don't want to select only the name and salary, I want to select complete employee. For example, my requirement is I want to select complete employee. Let's see how we can do that. Observe here. Let me write my requirement is I want to select complete employee. Not only the names and salaries, no, I want to get complete employee. Then how can I able to write the criteria? I can write the criteria like this. Now first I need to create what object? Criteria builder. So how can I create criteria builder object? Criteria builder CB reference variable equal to em dot get criteria builder. First statement is common now. The first statement is common. What I am creating here? Criteria builder object I am creating. Object name is CB. Now through criteria builder we can create a criteria query object. So how can I create criteria query object? Criteria query of employee entity Q equal to CB dot, what's the method name? Create query of what I am passing? Employee entity dot class. Okay, now tell me this criteria query. Okay, this criteria query, if you look at the criteria query interface now, criteria query is a generic type now. What T represents? Type of the defined result. So tell me what is the type of the result? What is the type of the result I'm expecting? Employee entity. In the above case, what's the type of the result I'm expecting? Object array. But here type of the result is what? Employee entity, because I want to select a complete record, not the partial record. Okay, I want to select the complete record, not the partial record. Okay, after creating the criteria query. Next, create what? Root object. What is the root entity class to be used in the query? Employee entity. R equal to Q dot from employee entity dot class. These are entity class. Q dot from. I got the root object. Then now I am writing something like this now. Q dot select of R dot where. Observe here. Of where. What I want right now? I want to select all the employees with the salary greater than 3,000. Means I apply where condition now. So what is my condition expression? salary must be greater than 3000 na? See here, first of all, r dot get of what? Salary greater than how much? 3000. This is a way of defining the condition. What is R here? Root object. From that root object represents which entity class? Employee entity. Which property of employee entity I want to get? Salary. And what is the salary value must be greater than 3000. So this is a way how you can apply the where condition. So after applying your where condition, then you have to execute this query object now, right? Query. Okay, query q equal to, already q I used na, query equal to, better word, query equal to q dot em is what? Entity manager dot, what's the method name? Create query of q. Okay, create query of q. Then list of employee entity lst equal to, or some variable name equal to query dot get result list. Basically question is, if I want to execute criteria query, again I have to convert this criteria query to query object. See what's the purpose of this statement? Converting the criteria query object to the query object. Because if you convert this criteria query to query object, then only you can call this method. Which method? Get result list method, or get single result method, or execute update method. Basically, you are getting my point, right? Yes. And one more important thing is what? Criteria can be used only for select operation. I mean, with this criteria, I cannot prepare update operation or delete operation or insert operation. It can be only used for preparing select operation. Okay, what type of queries can be created using criteria query? Only select operation can be prepared, not inserting or not updating or not deleting. And what's the advantage of working with the criteria? Just with the Java methods, we can create a query. That query is a tuned query. Tuned query can get the data fastly from database when compared with the normal query. So as you are aware, for example, just take a normal example. I have an employee table with 4 columns are there. Select a star from EMP. Select employee number, comma, e-name, comma, sal, comma, DEPTNO from EMP. If I have the 2 queries like this now, which query will get the data fastly from database? Means answer is what? Second query. If you compare to the first query, second query can get the data fastly from database. Mean this is a tuned query. This is untuned query. This is untuned query. But actually what? Both queries select same data. My EMP table has how many columns? There are 4 columns in my EMP table. What are the columns? Employee number, employee name, salary, and department number. 4 columns are there in my EMP table, right? I am selecting star from EMP means what I am selecting? All the 4 columns I am selecting, right? What's the second query also? Second query also selecting all the 4 columns only. Means what? Both the queries will get the same data, but which query will give me the data fastly? Second query, because second query is a tuned query when compared with the first one. Are you getting my point or not? Observe here. For example, select. Look at this. Select. Okay. EMPNO, e-name, sal, DEPTNO from EMP, where salary greater than or equal to 3000 and salary less than or equal to 5000. One more query I am writing. Select EMPNO, e-name, sal, DEPTNO from EMP, where sal between 3,000 and 5,000. Tell me, these two queries I have written there. My question is now, will the two queries return different data, or will the two queries return the same data? What these two queries will do? The two queries will return the same data, na? Same data, na? 3,000 to 5,000. Between also same, na? But which query will return the data fastly from database for me? Second one. Second one is a tuned query. First one is untuned query. Because the first query, you are using what? Relational operators. Less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. You are writing, na? It will take some time to calculate, to find the result of that condition. It may be 10 milliseconds. Okay. But some time it will take. But what is the second one? You are not using any relational operators, right? Obviously, what the query will execute? Faster. Means which one is a tuned query? Second one is a tuned query when compared with the first one. So second query will give me the data fastly when compared with the first query. This type of queries are called what? Like there, so many query tuning concepts are there for a DBS, database administrators will use them. Okay, right? For example, when a table has 10 millions of records, right? So they will apply some query tuning techniques to fetch the data. Okay. So when you come to Hibernate, means when you come to JPA, the advantage of JPA is what here? We no need of writing any tuned query because we don't know query tuning techniques. Only 2-3 queries we can say like this. But apart from that, we can't discuss much. Simple queries that everybody can see. But there are like that, there are many query tuning techniques are there. But we don't know all of them because we are unaware of this completely DBA concept. We are a Java developer. So obviously what happened in JPA, there is a concept given called as criteria query. What a criteria query concept, why it is given? It is given that you can construct a query with the help of Java methods. So I'm calling all the Java methods only now. Select is a method, from is a method, where is a method, group by is a method, having is a method, order by is a method. These are all what? Java methods. But based on my methods, what will be prepared finally? One query. That is just like a normal query or a tuned query? Tuned query. Tuned query can get the data fastly from database. If you want to run criteria query object, you need a query object first. So means what I'm doing here, create a query object for your criteria query object. This is my criteria query object. Okay. And here I'm creating query object for criteria query object. Then I can execute it by calling the method called what? Get result list method. Let's see first how it works. Let us identify how it is going to work it. Okay. Right. Later I'll give you the points. So basically, the first one is a untuned query here. This is untuned query. Okay. And this one is a tuned query. It is a tuned query. Okay, na? Tuned query. Now what? The first one is obviously untuned query. The second one is obviously tuned query. This is untuned query. But the second one is a tuned query. Okay. Let's see. First of all, we have our existing application like yesterday's application only, but I'm just increasing by adding one more method to my DAO. Yesterday we have named queries example. Na? In that example only, I will add one more method today. Then I will give that example to you as a zip file. Today first I'll finish that. Okay. Now let's go ahead with the criteria builder. First, if I want to create a criteria query object, I need what? Criteria builder object is required. Criteria builder object is helper to create criteria query object. So what I am creating here? Criteria query object I am creating. Criteria query object I am creating. Yes. Let's have a discussion. Let's go ahead. I'll go ahead. Just a minute. I'll go to the my named query application. I'll go to my DAO. Look at it in DAO. Yesterday, what are the two methods that we have executed already yesterday? Named query and named native query. Today, I want to tell you list of employee entity. List of employee entity. LST equal to, sorry, it's a return type. Method name is execute criteria query. Okay. So tell me what's the method, new method I'm adding. Yesterday, how many methods I have added into this interface? One is execute named query. Next one is execute named native query. Now today I want to add execute criteria query. Let us go to DAO IMPL class. Tell me, in my DAO IMPL class, I need to override the method. Which method? Execute criteria query, correct? Sure. First tell me what object is required for me. If at all I want to create any query or criteria builder, first of all, what is required? Entity manager. What is EM here? Entity manager, right? Entity manager EM equal to. Got it now? Tell me how to create criteria builder. Criteria builder. CB equal to EM dot get criteria builder. Correct? Tell me after creating criteria builder, then you have to create criteria query object. Na? How to create criteria query object? Criteria query of what is the result type? What is the type of the result? Employee entity. Employee entity Q equal to CB dot create query of class. What's my class name? Employee entity dot class. This is the result class. The type of the result for the criteria query. So you have to choose from the first one. What's the first one? JavaX dot persistence dot criteria. From there, not from Hibernate dot criterion. JavaX dot persistence means JPA package. What's the name of the package of JPA? JavaX dot persistence. Yes. What I got here? Criteria query object. Next, what I say? Root. What is the root entity class to be used? Employee entity. R equal to Q dot from which employee, which entity class I have to use in from? Employee entity class. Got it now? Observe here. Import. Now I got the root. Okay. Q dot select. Q dot select of R. I want to apply condition na? Where? Okay, what is my condition here? Where expression. What is the expression? R dot get of salary greater than 3,000. Okay, that's what I need to pass now. Let's check now. No problem. I want to pass the expression or predicate. Just a minute. It's not equals to. I need a method to check greater than 3,000. r dot get of salary. Predicate is nothing but a condition, and the condition I can pass like this now. Just a minute. I will pass the condition, then I will show the output of this. Okay. Observe here. Where I need where na, so where this is a where we can pass expression, or even we can pass predicate. One of the two we can pass, which returns criteria query object. Let's find out the methods. Just a minute. Which returns a predicate object. Just a minute. I want to apply the condition. Just a minute. I'm checking for the suitable method for greater than. Just a minute. I'm talking about how to create a where expression. Just a minute. Okay. Let me check with this. Salary, comma 3000. But this much big expression mode of writing. Just a minute. 1 minute. It's not clear. Just a minute. I'll come up with the solution in a minute. Just a minute. I'll find the solution for this now. Okay. CB dot greater than R dot get of salary, comma 3000. Okay. Let me continue now. Just what I need to write is, instead of directly writing greater than symbol, what should I write here? CB dot get. CB is a criteria builder. In criteria builder, we have all these methods. In criteria builder, you have the methods. Now, for example, if I keep the dot symbol, when I keep the dot symbol, you can see, and ASC, ABG between concat, count. Okay. whatever the methods you have, GE means greater than or equal to. Okay, greater than GT. Okay, right? GT, we can use GT. Okay, we can use in. Okay, right? Or we can use, I mean, various methods are there. Is null, is true. LE means less than or equal to. Less than, like. Okay. So, I mean, basically mod, not equal, all the methods are available here. So in criteria builder only we have all these methods. No need to go for expression. So CB dot get GT means greater than. Okay. What's the condition of salary greater than 3000? So first let's execute this now. So after once we are creating the what is that called? The query object. But to run this criteria query object again we need a query object now. So that's the reason why next what I am creating query equal to em dot create query. Em is entity manager dot create query of Q. I got the query object now. Then how can I execute this now? List of employee entity. Okay, LST equal to query dot get result list. Then I can close EM means entity manager is closed. Return LST. Return what? LST. Okay. Once it is done, let's see. First of all, it's working or not from our main. So this is my test class. I'll go with the tester. And first I want to keep this code in comment because this one we tested in the last class only. Now what's the next method I want to call? List of employee entity, because return type is list only, na? Yeah, list of employee entity. What I can write? LST equal to what I can write? DAO dot, what's the method name? Execute criteria query. Now display, how to display? LST dot for each system dot out colon println. Okay. Now let us run this application. We'll check the output whether we are getting all the employees or not. Now we can see all the employees with how much salary we are getting greater than 3000 only. 4000, 36, 5000, 6000 like that. Now means all the employees with the salary greater than 3000 only I am getting now. Only that I am getting now. The thing is now this query, if you look at the query here, this type of query, are we manually prepared this query or it is prepared by Hibernate? Okay. So what is the advantage of preparing the query by Hibernate only? That query becomes tuned query. That query is called what type of query? Tuned query can give the result fastly now? Yes. Of course, our query is a simple query now. But when there is something like a joining with 3 to 4 tables, so then what happens now? If you don't try to tune the query, then it will take some time to get the data from the database table, right? But if it is a tuned query, we'll give the data fastly. So can I use this criteria for update delete operations? No, we can't use. We can only use it for what operations now? Select out. Let's see the code once again. Just observe it. Okay, try to go through this code once. So first, look at this method once. Just look at the method once. Then again, I'll start explaining it. Through criteria builder only, we can create a criteria query object. Okay. And what is the type parameter in criteria query? This is criteria query. What the type parameter represents? The type of the result. Defined result means result, the type of the result. So what is the type of the result here? Type of the result is employee entity. Then first you create a root object. Okay. Root object represents the entity class to be used in the query. What's the entity class used in the query? Employee entity, employee entity, employee entity. Okay. Now, what is the where condition I want to apply? Salary greater than 3,000. How to apply salary greater than 3,000? CB dot GT of GT means greater than salary. This is salary. Get the salary data and compare with 3,000. If a salary greater than 3,000, then only it is going to select the employees. This is a condition, where condition. Okay, how to write the where condition? CB dot GT. What is CB? Criteria builder. It has various methods: GT, LT, GE, LE. Okay, we have methods like this now: equal, not equal. All the methods are there. You can just keep dot symbol. You can find all the methods here. So basically, why again I am creating query object? If I want to execute a criteria query, I need query object. So create a query object for criteria query. Then you can call method. What's the method name? Get result list. If it is a query for selecting single record, then get single result. Get single result. Like that now. Okay. Then close the entity manager and return the LST. So even in my document also, I need to change my where condition. Okay, what is my where condition here? What is the where condition changes required here? Same only, but CB dot GT greater than comma 3,000. Got my point? Comma 3,000. Got it now? This is a change I need to do. Okay, right? What is CB? Criteria builder. What is the GT symbol? What is the GT method? Greater than. Salary greater than 3,000. That's what the meaning of it. That is what the meaning of it. Okay. For example, let us modify our query. So let's see the output once again. In the output, we are getting only the employees with the salary more than 3,000. Na? Yes. I want more than 3,000. I want more than 3,000 and I want less than 6,000. More than 3,000, less than 6,000. Two conditions I want to apply. Let's modify my code. In my code, let's modify. Let's modify my code. Look at this. See the condition here. CB dot, I'll tell you. CB dot end, AND. I'm writing what? End. CB dot GT of salary greater than 3,000, comma. End means two conditions, na? CB dot LT. LT means less than R dot get of salary, comma 6,000. Comma 6,000. Observe it. I'll tell you. Comma 6,000. Understand me? Tell me here how many conditions? Two conditions. Observe the first condition. This is called condition 1. What is the condition 1? Salary greater than 3,000. Comma, what is the second condition? Salary less than 6,000. To combine the two conditions, which method of criteria builder I called? CB dot end. If you want only one condition, then CB dot or. You remember that? CB dot or. But end means the two conditions now. This is condition 1, comma. This is condition 2. The two conditions. I'm applying them. Now tell me, I want to get only the employees with salary greater than 3,000, less than 6,000. Let's see. Let us run this. Now we can see earlier I got 4 records, but now 3 records only. Salary 4,000, 3,600, 5,000, but I'm not getting 6,000. Why? I want less than or equal to 6,000 or only less than 6,000? Less than 6,000. If I want less than or equal to, then LE. When I'm writing my code, instead of writing LT, LT means less than, LE means less than or equal to. Let us run again. Let us run again. Now see the output here. This time we are getting 6,000 also, no? Yes. But previously we got only first 3 records, right? This one we are not getting. Because at that time, which method I called? LT. LT means less than. This is LE means less than or equal to. Okay, like this you can make the conditions now. You can add the conditions with where. Right? So who is preparing this query? Who is preparing this query? Hibernate. Hibernate. In my code, I am preparing the query or I am calling the methods of Java. Methods of Java. By calling the methods of Java, query can be constructed. This is called concept of criteria. So what is the purpose of criteria? Criteria queries are used in JPA to prepare SQL queries by calling Java methods with the help of Java methods. But what type of query will be created by criteria? Tuned query. And criteria can be only used for select operation. We cannot use it for update or delete operations. We cannot write any update query or delete query using criteria. Only we can perform select operations. Okay, right. Okay. Sorry. Is there. Between is also there. When I put a dot symbol, see, dot. Now we can see all the list of the methods coming here. This is what I called now. What's the method I called? End method I called here. Okay. End method I called. You can see here what's the method? Between. Okay. Many methods are there. Like is there. Equal is there. Okay. GT is a method I called. Okay. I can call LT like. Okay. This is LT is a method I called. LE is a method. Max is a method. Min is a method. So many methods are there. You can go through. This is called criteria builder. CB dot. So this is 2 conditions now. Salary greater than 3,000 and less than or equal to 6,000. If you write LT, then less than. If you want 2 conditions, then call with end. If you want only 1 condition, no need of calling end. Okay, right? If you want, you can use OR also. CB dot OR. You can call like that. Okay, what is CB here? Criteria builder. Criteria builder, right? So see here, what is happening here? I will tell you. Till this point, yesterday we discussed up to named query and named native query. So then we started with what concept? The concept name, what we started here? Criteria. Okay, let us move and I'll write. Just a minute. I'll try to move all these. Okay, I'll try to move all these somewhat down so that I can add statements here. So tell me what object I told today? Criteria query object, right? This is what we discussed today, na? Criteria query object we discussed here. Okay, what is the purpose of criteria query object? So criteria query object can be used in JPA. Object is used in JPA to what, guys? To construct SQL queries using Java methods. Okay, so tell me, criteria query object can be used only for use it for only select operations. And one more thing is what? Criteria query object prepares tuned SQL queries while executing comma, so the queries returns the data from database fastly. So it improves performance of an application. Improves the performance of an application. Got my point, guys? That's what criteria. But criteria can be only used for select operations. If I want to create a criteria query object, first what builder is required? Criteria builder. So criteria builder is a helper class. Is a helper class to construct what object? What object I can construct using it? Criteria query object. To construct is a helper class to construct criteria query object, and also helps to construct the conditions. See, in where we applied conditions now. So tell me which object I have used to construct the conditions, like GT, LT, GE, LE, all these methods are from where? Criteria builder only now? Yeah, thank you. So criteria builder is a helper class to construct criteria query object and also helps to construct the conditions. Conditions. Right. Now first I am writing here, this is example 1, whatever is there. Example 1 is what? Selecting only name and salary, right? Names and salaries of employees. Names and salaries of employees with the criteria query. Okay. First example is what? Selecting the names and salaries of employees with criteria query. So here, what is this object array? What is object array? Criteria query of object array we are writing now. What is this object array? It returns the, it represents the type of the result. This object array is a type of the result. I am writing here, it is type of the result. It is a type of the result. Type of the result is object array. That's what the meaning of it. Okay. What is the root of employee entity? What is meaning of root of employee entity? Q dot from of employee entity dot class. Okay. So when we are calling the from method from criteria, we are passing the entity class now. It creates what object? Root object. I'll show you. I'm calling from method now. This is from method I'm calling. So the from method, what I'm passing? Entity class I'm passing now. Okay. Then what it from method returns? Root object. What this definition they gave? Create and add a query root corresponding to the given entity. That's it. Correspond to the given entity. So I'll write in our words. It represents what is this one? Represents okay, represents the entity. Represents the entity used in select operation. Okay, entity used in select operation, that is root. Now, if you look at my last statement, instead of writing query object, then next calling get result list, I am calling in one line only. Okay, I am calling in one line only now. First, I am calling create query. What create query method returns? Query object. Then I am calling which method? Get result list method. Otherwise, I can split this line into two lines. Even if I want, I can split this line into two lanes. So can you tell me what the two lanes here? Query equal to what I can write? EM dot create query of Q. Then the next statement is what? Query dot get result list. So basically, what is happening in this line? Criteria query object is what is happening in this line? Criteria query object is converted to query object. Criteria query object is converted to query object for execution. So I'm writing all the comments here so that we can get. Okay, let's go ahead. We observe it now. So first, what builder I am creating? Criteria builder. Then I am creating criteria query. Then I am creating root object. Then we can just call the select method and you can apply where conditions. Then convert the criteria query object to query object. Then you have to execute it. So it's a big story, but this will return the data fastly. It's selecting names and salaries of employees with criteria query. The second example is what? When you take the second example is what? Second example is for, it is for selecting, it is for selecting. The second example is for selecting only the names and salaries, or we want to get the salary employees with salary greater than 3,000. So this is an example, selecting employees with a salary greater than 3,000. With a salary greater than 3,000. If you look at this one, almost the same. Okay, now I'm just simply deleting the remaining things. I'm deleting all the remaining things. Let me explain. You can see here. So what is the purpose of this one? The purpose of this one is for what? This is for selecting the employees with a salary greater than 3,000, right? If you want two conditions, then what you will do? CB dot end. Then you write the first condition, comma, second condition. My first condition is what earlier? Salary greater than 3,000. Second condition, salary less than 6,000. You can have two conditions with end method. CB dot end, CB dot GT, CB dot LT, okay, CB dot R, CB dot between. All the methods we can call with CB, criteria builder. Okay, we'll continue on tomorrow. Okay, that's it for today. This example I'll post, you can just get it. Yeah, we'll continue on tomorrow, guys. This example I'll post today. You can go through that. This document and example, both I'll post. You go through that so that tomorrow we'll discuss remaining. Okay, thank you. We'll continue on tomorrow, guys. Okay, thank you.